the man, yes sir, they killed the bear barehanded so the people won't forget it. Getting money for our legal to drink. I care what a broke nigga think.
Just like the pack of Lewis.
Look, everything I do so cold. I can do this, both eyes closed. Too short, I stay on my toes. About that guap boy, anything goes. Help the bear if we outside. Help the bear if we outside. Still tipping, baby, nothing changed. We still grinding over here, yeah. Still sliding through my own lane. Shorty, nothing funny over here. Dallas rain everywhere around me. Dream to get money. Made it through the storm, living sunny. Dreams came true, now we eating. I got more dreams to chase, gotta reach them. Trying to put a team together like the Hunger Games. Everybody grinding because we all came from hunger pain.
Yeah, late ill kid at OneYoungsta, holding it down, bringing that street geek and nerd soul. What is up, my people, today? Oh yeah, coming with another wonderful episode of NERDSoul. We talk about movies, and we're getting into Shang-Chi, however you pronounce it. He says Shang, so you probably say Shang, but if you can't get Shang out your mind or can't get Shang, do whatever you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Just don't be disrespectful. Now, if you're brand new, since this is like a new hot movie and it's a Marvel movie, you might be here and you might be brand new, and you might be like, "Yo, I love Shang-Chi, and I love it so much I don't want nobody to critique it at all, or nobody to have no bad words to say about it." If that's the case, you might not want to watch this. All right. Also, next disclaimer is this is spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, and you don't want to talk about it, like as far as like what happens inside of it, leave. All right. Because I don't want you being like, "Yo, man, you told the end," because this is spoilers, and I don't want to hurt your feelings like that. So, one, if you're in a place where it's like this movie can't be critiqued, cool. I get it. You know what I'm saying? This ain't for you. I ain't gonna try to hold your head. You know what I'm saying? You gotta bounce. Then people that don't want to know about it, you ain't seen the movie, you gotta get out of here. Unless you want to hear it and you don't care about being spoiled, then you can stay. For anyone else, thanks for rolling through. All the people in the chat early, all the folks coming in on the replay, whether you're leaving 1 comment, 2 comments, 3 comments, 18 comments, thank you for rolling through. It's always good to see your beautiful sunshiny faces, and I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all coming through. We're going to have some fun. Now, this is going to have 2 parts. First, we're going to review the movie. Talk about plot points, things that went on, how I feel about it, from the creation to it, to the acting, to characters, whatever. Then we're going to get into the controversy later. So that's another thing. I'll let y'all know about the controversy. So if y'all ain't trying to hear the controversy, you know what I'm saying, y'all can skate too. Just trying to get, because I know whenever there's a new hot movie. Oh, and thank you guys for hitting the thumbs up. I see the thumbs going up right now. So thank you. It's a humble 3 thumbs. Thank you so much. If you'd like to support the channel, by a baby thumb or even an adult thumb, go in there and click that thumb button, and maybe even think about subscribing to your boy. So before we get out of here, before we get started, 133 art, Blurtish, Blurred Over, Black Nerd Fridays. Big shout out to all y'all. I think I saw Jay Washington on IG doing his thing the other day. Big shout out to him. Big shout out to Black Bearded Nerd and Kiki Suds and D Neal. That's Black Nerd Fridays, but just calling out your specific names. And big shout out to, of course, NERDSoulite. I see he's up in here. See, you know what I'm saying? He repping the Black Panther. You know what I mean? Hey, doing Marvel getting that money. So, Star Drew said one world, or maybe the first world, but one world where animals and human co-op peaceful happiness. I like that. Let's see. And Star Drew said, really have to love the peaceful world inside the waterfall, even better than the tropical world of Jurassic Park. It seems a little safer too, because Jurassic Park, the animals are kind of kicking it. In this movie, the animals are kind of kicking it. Jurassic Park, they're trying to eat you. So it's a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? But there's some ripoffs in there, and we're gonna get into that. So you may have seen the ranking that I have on it. I have 2.5 stars. I am in the middle of the road on this film. Once again, this is spoilers, so I'm about to get talking. All right, about to get talking with the spoilers. You have had time. We are what, about 2 minutes in? So oh no, we way in. So look, all right, we way in. Let's go. Do I like this movie? Yeah, it's okay. This movie has a very similar issue that I had with Black Widow, which is I don't think that Marvel is really giving us their best. And not saying that people aren't working hard. You know, it's not that I don't think people are working hard on these movies. I don't think people. It's not that I don't think people are trying, but I do think Marvel is falling back into certain particular tropes that they used to do, like in their first phase, that are getting old or have gotten old. And I thought that we were beyond. So, as far as the good things that I like about this movie looks pretty. Like it's very clean and very neat, very competently made. We have some chase scenes that come off well. I like how they depict the forest, how it kind of like closes in on you and stuff like that. Big shout out to Star Drew and big shout out to Blurtish. I like the idea of the 10 rings out there in the, kind of like out there in the, in the woods and the mountains, kind of out in the cut, doing their thing, getting they how should you say, League of Assassins on. I like that. I love Tony Leung as the father. Like, man, yo, Marvel, I'm going to get on you when I talk about bad stuff, but right now we'll talk about good stuff. I love Tony as the father. I love the way they did the 10 rings as well. Like the way they can go to like a prone state, or even just chilling kind of like some like jewelry. Like when he was rolling in with the sleeves rolled up, he had the old school, the suit jacket with the sleeves rolled up. I was like, I see you. I see you. I would say, for me, Tony is the best part of this movie. I'm a fan of his from way back, but in this movie, man, they do a good job of showing someone who was trying his best. He was being the best father he knew how to be. You know what I'm saying? And Thomas D said, so is he like an Asian Doctor Strange? Nah, not at all. No, he's not like a Asian Doctor Strange. Yeah, but nothing like that. I really dig the inclusion of I guess you could say, a blue collar lifestyle. Even though it's kind of played as a joke or played as like, I don't know, the job that they have, their parking cars, their valets, and the way they play it is, I like the fact that you can see some people that's like blue collar workers and just, you know what I'm saying, just doing their thing. But I also don't like the idea that's kind of played as a joke, which is something that I think Marvel has fell back into, that they did a lot in their first phase, which I also have a problem with as far as Black Widow's movie. There's a lot of tropes, a lot of things they did in their first phase that I think they're falling back on. So they did it's like they did a lot of stuff where they use humor, but the humor that they're using actually undercuts the seriousness of the moment. And the more they do it, the more I dislike it. But continuing on, good things I like, the dynamic between the brother and the sister. I like that. I like how we see how they were raised, how they ended up, having them be estranged. things of that nature. I like having that in this movie. So there's a lot of things that I dig, but unfortunately, the reason I give this 2.5 out of 5 stars is because I'm at the middle of the road. For all the things that I really love, and I'm gonna touch on what Andre Atkins said in a second, which I do like, but I like with a caveat, which I'll sort of transfer with this over to the things I don't like. Another thing I like is how they paid so much homage to Asian cinema. It was cool to have those moments where you get hints of maybe like wire work, or maybe hints of a type of style that's more about evasion, saying, kind of like, i.e. Jackie Chan or something like that. And then also seeing kind of those reminiscent training scenes of, kind of like the older Kung Fu films that you would see back in the days, where they take the young guy to the monastery and they're beating him down, and then forcing him to fight 18 people and the kid's like 12, you know what I'm saying? So I like those a lot. I really enjoyed those. Even the incorporation of the family's view on their job. I thought that was a good piece to add in. I just think that, one, we didn't see enough of their home/family life. And I feel like they just used the family to make fun of their job and kind of get out of there. When I think there was way more on the bone for them to get from the family life, especially when we're about to transition back to what the family life was for Shang in mainland China. So you got China, and then you got the American life that he's living now, kind of like being a valet and stuff. I don't think they really gave the family enough. I think we could have got some more. And not saying that I need an extra 30 minutes of family life, but I think if we didn't use them as kind of just to make fun of their jobs and maybe bring some deeper care to what's going on in their family life, could have been fun for me. So the homage that they make to Asian cinema, I think is great. I think it's cool. But as I transition over to the things I don't like, the homages seem more like cheap knockoffs at times. And okay, this comes from someone who watches tons of action movies, you know what I'm saying, from, Kung Fu flicks to straight up like gun fu and all that mess. I watched tons of stuff. And the biggest problem I saw for Shang-Chi, for me, when this movie was coming out, is I was like, all right, Warrior's been out for 2 seasons, right? And those fight scenes are pretty serious. And I feel like Disney/Marvel is not going to do what they need to do to make these fight scenes look how they need to look. And for me, I feel like they kind of just did a C-student job of fight scenes in here. They weren't horrible. They weren't great. And as a homage to Asian cinema, they kind of ended up being, all right. Like, I didn't hate the fight scenes, but they were just like, all right to me. And with the amount of money that Disney has and the ability that Marvel has, I would have really, what I was expecting is like, okay, they're going to pay some homage, but then take it to another level. You know what I'm saying? They're going to take it a step further. We've seen scaffold fights before. And I probably say we've probably seen some better ones. The bus fight I did enjoy, but we undercut that with the comedy of the dude with the camera, saying like he's going to grade the fight, which I think could have came off a lot better without that dude with the cell phone camera. Also, like, he's like, what, one of only 2 black dudes in the movie, and they both had to be whacked, but it's like the bus driver, he get knocked in his head, he down, all right? He down. And then the only other dude could have just shut up during the fight, but don't look. We got controversy stuff later, and that ain't even that important. But they undercut that fight on the bus that I thought was like dope. But then it's like, oh, I'm used to take karate in the strip mall, and it's like, man, come on. Like, let this fight be sweet. So we also get kind of introduced, in my opinion, way too quick into the underworld when we go to Macau. And I would love to have seen some scenes between there where we like dive into like more of the, I've got to go back. This is why I've got to go back, or this is why I think I've got to go back. And I don't think Marvel didn't really give the emotional deepness that I think they could have gave this story. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they gave it. I feel like, and this is the second movie in a row I feel this way. Black Widow and Shang-Chi, I feel like Marvel could have did a lot better. I feel like Marvel turned in the paper that they knew would pass, but they didn't work hard to get the A. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that eats at me, because they've got so much access, so much talent working for them. Why not? So, okay. With that said, another thing I didn't like, well, I didn't. I love the father-son moments and the family moments, but I don't like getting them pieced out. I would have liked all of the family moments together at the front end of the film. Now, I know, guys, I know. You're gonna say, but bruh, you getting rid of the chases and everything, you making us wait. No, you can see Pops out there whooping butt. You know what I'm saying? You can see Pops out there beating people up in the streets. You know what I'm saying? You can see Pops tearing up, you know what I'm saying, the restaurant or whatever, which they cut in such a particular way where it's nowhere as violent or as abrupt or as dangerous as the trailer made it seem. Like, cutting away to the kid's eyes, I guess I get it, but you also don't get to show us how bad Tony really is. Like, Tony out there killing it, you know what I'm saying? And you don't get to show the man be the man, you know what I'm saying? Show him being a man. Show him come up in there and wreck shop. You know what I'm saying? It's like you focus on the kid and you see kind of people falling around, but you don't actually see the movements. And that's what kind of bothered me with the father-son stuff. I hate, like, we get a little story. All right, let's jump back. We get a little more story. All right, let's jump back. It's like, I would have actually preferred the growth of the child to go all the way, like, take all the father-son stuff, all the kid stuff, put that at the front of the movie. And watch us see that. Watch him struggle with, like, you know, I want to get out of the game. You know what I'm saying? I met this woman, you know, she in the woods, she got mad skills. She got so much skills, she beat me, and I got these magical rings. You know what I'm saying? And I fell in love with this woman. You know what I'm saying? It's time to put up the game. It's time to put up the player, you know what I'm saying, the player jersey. You know what I'm saying? It's time to hang it up and retire that joint. I'm in love. You know what I'm saying? I would have loved to see that. I would have loved to see him put his, you know what I'm saying, yo, you know, the violence, all that, you know what I'm saying, out there in the streets. I don't want that no more. I want this woman's heart. You know what I'm saying? I want to build a family. But no, we keep like jumping back and not really getting what I really would have liked to see more of, which is Tony, because Tony for me is actually he's the most interesting character for me in this joint. Now, I know you guys are in the chat, so let's jump in the chat real quick. Perk Minder said also the Marvel formula is definitely hurting these movies, or at least holding them back. Yeah, I think, and I understand there's a formula to be had. Don't get me wrong. I know all these movies kind of have to fit together, but the way this movie goes on, outside of like a couple of references to Marvel, like maybe 3 references to Marvel, there's nothing that really connects this to anything else. And Thomas D said, yeah, the ending of Black Widow was good. The story could have been way better. Yeah, way better. And actually, Scarlett Johansson could have actually made me care about her character. See, Scarlett Johansson like just sleptwalked through that role, but that's a whole other thing. Like her sister was doing more work than she was. Like Scarlett Johansson was like, look, I'm here to get a check. When do I clock out? All right, so Blurry says, I got a question. Do you think it would be better as a show to show these parts more? I mean, yes. I mean, serialized storytelling is going to give you more time, but I think the time that they have in most of their movies, which is around 2 hours, I think 2 hours is long enough to tell the story that they need to tell, or at least to start to tell it, and then maybe you can have a show called The 10 Rings or something like that. But I think around 2 hours, if not more, I don't know the exact runtime of this, but I think it's enough time to tell the story they needed to tell. I think they focused on the wrong things. Uh, Andre Atkins says, NERDSoul, it would have had to be a show to do it the way you're describing. I don't think so, man. We've seen many life stories on TV, in film, that did well. Now, of course, they didn't have action scenes on them, but you can look at like Walk the Line, you can look at Ray, you can look at Ali. These things tell stories of people in their lives and their childhood, and they do it without doing a TV show. Now, if you want to go even further if you want to go into the action realm, movies that do a good job of setting the tone, setting the pace, and I know you guys aren't going to like this, but if you look back at a movie like Bad Boys, if you look at a movie like Bad Boys, they do a good job of setting the tone, the pace, giving us their lives, let us know what they mean to each other, get some home family life, all that. And that's Michael Bay. Trust me, I know Bad Boys has their issues, but I feel like I don't know Shang-Chi's family. I don't. I feel like I watched the movie where I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is cool fight scenes. It looked great. Awesome. Oh, and his shirt, his suit or whatever, oh, that joint is hot. But I feel like I don't really know his family, and I don't really care about his family outside of his dad. I was like, oh, his dad got some time to shine. His dad got some emotional moments, but his mom was kind of like an afterthought. Like, oh, yeah, his mama died. Don't worry about that. It's like, yo, I honestly think if we cut out trying to make fun of their job, we could focus some more time on the family. And as long as it's good, people don't mind a slightly longer movie. Tack an extra 15 minutes onto this. Because the next thing I don't like is the Tao or Talao. I'm not trying to dish y'all. I don't know the exact, I think it's Tao. When we get to Tao, okay. Oh, no. Bringing in the fake Mandarin killed this movie for me. I hope you know that. When I was talking to Kevin Feige, but bringing in Ben Kingsley, he's dope as an actor. I get it. You know what I'm saying? I understand. But bringing in Ben Kingsley for all that time, just to introduce a plot point to be able to get to Tao Lo before your daddy get there, you could have done it another way, and we didn't have to undercut. We stopped the movie to be like, hey, remember Iron Man 3? Like, we stopped Shang-Chi to say, remember, not saying put in like little Easter eggs here and there, and be like, oh, but the story's moving. We stopped the film to say, do you remember? Remember? Criminal Minded. Rockin' beats, remember? Anyway, point is, when he showed up, I was not happy. When he showed up, I was like, why are you here? We are finally getting some conversations between brother and sister, and we're starting to, reconnect with them a little bit. And why are you here? And then just to get a Star Wars knockoff of the, oh yeah, you know where we're about to go. So then, after bringing in Ben Kingsley to completely bring the movie to a screeching halt, to, I guess, be funny, which it wasn't to me, and also to ask us if we remember Iron Man 3, which, yes, I do, and is not the greatest memory in my mind. And this, trying to retcon this or add this in doesn't make me feel better about Iron Man 3. You should have just left it alone. Like, one thing that they did that I thought was cool was they brought in Abomination, and you see him fighting against Wong. And when Wong wins the fight, they're like fighting back and forth. And like Wong, like, oh, that hurt. You want to see? And then makes him hit himself. Cool, knocks himself out. They got to drag him off, right? Wong comes in, he's like, all right, man, see, I told you I work on your punches or whatever. And him and Wong walk off together through a portal. Like, they cool. So it's like, what? Those are cool things to add in that don't stop the story, but intrigue you. Because, they're already at the fight club, the international online fight club. But it's just a fight that's going on there. Now, of course, it's there to make us be like, oh, Abomination. But at least it's something that they don't stop and say, hey, do you remember Incredible Hulk? Oh, let's have Abomination talk to you guys for a little bit. Hey, guys, this is why I'm here in Macau. No. Ben Kingsley is a huge part of why this is a 2.5 star for me. And the whole thing. Then why Marvel, why you gotta rip off Star Wars like that? Star Wars had they look, all right, we had Last Jedi. Whether you like Last Jedi or not, all right? Last Jedi comes out. They got these little cute furry, bird / fish / beaver, penguiny things. But they belong to Star Wars, all right? And whether you love them, you hate them, they're there, all right? You know what I'm saying? We saw Chewie eat one. Hey, look, whatever. But now here you come with your little faceless piglets or something. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, man. I was just like, man, this sucks. Now, when we get to the mystical land, it's cool, but thematically and time-wise, I feel like it's too late in the movie. I feel like it's like, hey, everybody else has a mystical world. Do you want one too, Shang-Chi? Yeah, man, I want one too. All right, cool. Let's throw it in your movie. Yes, we have already seen it in flashbacks before. But for the fight scene, getting a glimpse of it in a flashback as opposed to actually experiencing it is completely different. And we don't really get to see it in its full glory. It's like, oh, snap, let's go here, and here it is. And I don't know, man. I feel like this movie deserved better from Marvel. Like I said, watching this movie, it's not a bad movie, but it's not a great movie. And I think Marvel's at a level now where you got the opportunity to really kill it. And I feel like you just skated by on this one. And this is the second one in the row, because I feel like you skated by on Black Widow as well. You know what I'm saying? So this is a situation where it's kind of worrying me, because if our next movies that we see are indicative of what we've gotten from Black Widow and now Shang-Chi, it might be a situation where your TV division is doing better, or your TV section is doing better than your movies. And they should be representing each other well. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Now, what is it? Janine said, watching in the theater, you don't think of the big plot and writing holes, but later, yeah. And see that I didn't watch it in the theater. You know what I'm saying? I watched it from the comfort of my own home. Now, don't worry about all that. All right? Don't worry about how I did that. You just know that I saw it in the comfort of my own home. Now, so yeah, Taulo been cool for part 2. It felt like a September release. Yeah, it's funny. You say it sounds like a September release, but there's like 2 songs in the soundtrack that reference summertime. So it's like, it's weird. But another thing I like, before I get into things that I dislike, another thing that I like is having Michelle Yeoh there. Having Tony Leung and Michelle Yeoh. Now, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I'm not trying to pronounce it wrong. I ain't here to diss nobody. I just ain't pronouncing it right. But Michelle Yeoh, I've been a fan of hers since like way back in the 90s, bro. And she out here killing in the game in Star Trek. Oh, so you know I'm loving my girl. But having that other perspective, once again, the family stuff is what's dope here. Seeing someone who feels a certain way, like your dad, Your dad feels a certain way. And you grow up, you know, your dad raises you. So your dad's like, this is right, and this is right, and this is right. And that's exactly what happened, and that's all the truth. And then you meet your uncle. And your uncle's like, nah, I was there. This is right, but that and that was wrong. He changed that story because that's how he felt. But that's not really what happened. And having that other perspective there would have been great for the movie. And I think we get Ben Kingsley out of here, and we get kind of making fun of their job out of here, and we can have some more time to deal with how they feel, like, you know, because he comes and he's like angry, you know what I'm saying? Because he's been stewing over his wife been dead, and now you got the great darkness kind of like luring him over, like tempting him or whatever to come break open the seal. And having him show up, the little kind of exchange you see when he's at his wife's shrine, there is this little, at least for me, like this body posture of like, oh, like I'm not the only one that mourned her. Like, and I mean, of course, it didn't stop him from, you know, fighting people and going crazy. But there was this change of body posture, like, oh, yeah, like I'm not the only one that lost someone. And that's a beautiful thing that we could have dealt more with, especially with Tony Leung and Michelle Yeoh sharing the screen. Like, we could have really had some cool stuff on top of the action. And I feel like we wasted it. I think it was an opportunity that we could have had, because there's a lot to be said especially in grief, especially with families, where sometimes, and I'm sure maybe someone watching this may have experienced it, somebody thinks like they owned the dead person. Like, I'm the only one experiencing their death. It's like, no, her son is experiencing grief in his own way, daughter in her own way, mama maybe, well, mama ain't here, but sisters, brothers, were there other cousins that she was tight with? You're not the only person that's hurt here. And that realization when he saw the shrine, or at least that's how I took it, when he saw the shrine was pretty cool. I was like, yo, this is dope. I wish we'd have got more of that. Now, speaking of Tony Leung, probably the last thing I'll say that I didn't like, because I didn't hate this movie. Before I get to some comments in the chat, is they killed the villain. Another rookie mistake that I thought Marvel was over with. But of course, Killmonger, and then all pretty much phase one. And then Black Widow. The guy, even though he was the guy that made Taskmaster, that was poorly developed in the film, still in influence and power over the underworld, serves a huge purpose if he's not dead. Same thing with the Mandarin. Same thing with Tony Leung. Tony Leung dies, then it's like, yo, this is a villain that we can have come back later for Shang-Chi or someone else. You know what I'm saying? Or just have a constant looming threat that's just as dangerous, but someone you might forget about. Kind of like having Mordo walking around, who know where he at. So I feel like they killed him, and it was a mistake. One, because he's a dope actor. Two, because I think there's more to be done there, especially now that the sister's taking over the 10 Rings. You know what I'm saying? So that's something I didn't like. The end was kind of, without knocking everything, the end was kind of, it seemed rip-offy of an earlier film in the same in the same universe. But just like twisted a different way. But even down to having like animals helping you fight. But that's how I feel about the film. I think it's a decent rental level film. I would not say, if you haven't gone to the theater yet, like if you've gotten this far and you ain't seen it in the theater, or you didn't know if you wanted to see it or not, I don't think it's worth that theater money. I think it could be. I think they could have took this to another level. I think they could have taken those homages that they made and really like embellished on them, or taken them to another point in maybe technicality or creativity. But it seems like this is a movie that could have been an A+ paper, but they just turned in a C because they could. So yeah, that's where I'm at on it. As far as the Janine says, Michelle Yeoh been dope for years. Definitely need more to her. Yes. Auntie brought some sense to Sean. Thank you. Um, then it is the dead mother that is the light for Shang-Chi. What? Okay, word. And then Blurty said Michelle and Tony needed more screen time, definitely. Andre Atkins says, personally, I don't think Black Widow was that bad. It could have been better, of course, but I don't feel like it was my least favorite Marvel film. No, neither of these are my least favorite Marvel films. They're just okay. Like, there's nothing about Black Widow that makes me want to watch it again. There's nothing about Shang-Chi that makes me want to watch it again. And at this point in Marvel, I think that let's say 90% of their films should be highly rewatchable because of how good they've gotten at making these movies. But maybe the fact that they've been so good at making these movies that they think like, oh, we'll just throw it in the movie blender and then there goes the movie and then we're done. And I feel like they didn't try on this one. I feel like they thought, yo, it's got our logo. You know what I'm saying? We got, you saw what Crazy Rich Asians did. So it's got our logo. We're gonna get that Asian market and we're gonna be good. And I mean, they probably will, but I'm just saying on a review standpoint, there's a lot of stuff that I was like, man, I think they could have killed this, and they would rather spend a good 10 or so minutes with Ben Kingsley talking about Iron Man 3 and playing member berries. And I don't know. Let's see. Star Drew said the evil seed may not be done yet, and they may bring in Iron Fist and Shang-Chi to fight together. I wouldn't be mad at that. I definitely wouldn't be mad at that, especially since we're now in, was it Tao Lo? We could bring in Kun Lun and stuff like that. So we could bring in Kun Lun and have Iron Fist come into the fold and have them maybe figure out something together or, fight against a greater threat that's imposing on both of their like kind of metaphysical, magical worlds or something. I don't know, magical realms or whatever. But yes, Janine said too much CGI in the third act because those dragons, they could have spent some more time on them dragons. All right, even my family said it, they're your average action viewers. Yeah, them dragons, the dragons were cool, but they didn't look as cool as they could have looked if they would have. I feel like they could have hit the mark, man. I feel like Marvel was sleeping on this one. So Janine said, imagine Wenwu being the villain in Iron Man 3, whole different movie, missed the opportunity. Yep. And Blurry said, this one is not super rewatchable without a cut, without Ben fake Fina. Yes. So we've reviewed the movie. This movie is not without its controversy. So, if you don't want to speak about the controversy, if you don't want to hear about the controversy, if you don't want to get into it, now's your time to leave. You know what I'm saying? Now's your time to leave because we're going to talk about the controversy. I'll first start with this. Marvel/Disney has done the best job they could concerning the source material to kind of remove the whole Fu Manchu stuff and remove the kind of Bruce Lee analog stuff and kind of let this character be this character. And that, of course, has risen the ire of a few folks on the internet like, I want Fu Manchu back. Just why? We already know it's super racist. Why you want it back? Because you racist? Is that why? Because nobody's out here asking for a Fu Manchu. Nobody asking for it. Except you and your boys. So what you want, you know what I'm saying? What do you want? Do you want them to be like, yo, look, we just gonna carbon copy this? Do you know how many people canceling folks for less these days? Do you think Marvel wants to be canceled, or do you think they want to make money? You know what I'm saying? Just to make you happy, so you can be like, they were true to the comics that you didn't even buy? Get out of here. Like, so anyway, you have this contingent of people that are so, I say so with the quotes, so pure that they even want the racism in there. They're like, I'd like extra racism, please. And so you got that out there. They're crazy nuts, but hey, they're crazy. They're also the people, these are probably also the same people that's like, what if we made Malcolm X with a white guy? They're those type of dudes. They're those. Well, no, ladies too. Let's not act like white women ain't racist out in these streets. So, all right, so you got that. Then you got Awkwafina, who is a extremely, how should you say, polarizing character. Now, I know you probably watched the movie and was like, yo, she's kind of replaceable. I didn't see anything special about her whatsoever. What do you mean? You might not know. But Awkwafina came to prominence through using what is now termed as black scent. So black scent is you might as well say a minstrel of the speech and the colloquialism and the patterns that certain black people in certain urban areas use, and then it gets turned into this kind of hyper polarized version of talking. Awkwafina does it. There's a couple of other people that do it. I'm not going to do it here. It's on your own to look up, but she used it. She used it to get on. She was Awkwafina. She was like this fake rapper. She used it to get on. And then after she got on, by using us and making fun of us and basically minstrelizing or assisting, I guess assisting in the minstrelizing of the way some of us speak and our terms of speech, then all of a sudden she becomes Nora from Queens. Isn't that funny? Isn't it funny how Miley Cyrus is hip-hopped out? And then all of a sudden, hip-hop is misogynistic. Oh, it is? Oh, it just got that way. That's why you left hip-hop. So first, black music was okay. Doing black music was awesome. Or doing black speech patterns or pretending to be the quintessential, how should we say, the quintessential version of what Hollywood considers black, because there's only one way to be black if you ask Hollywood or New York or Atlanta, whoever is producing TV and film at this time. But all of a sudden you want to be down with just Nora from Queens, which we probably would have let slide. But then she had the nerve to bring out a quote where she was quoted saying, I don't want to speak in a Chinese or Asian accent because I don't want to make a minstrel of my people. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't going to do that. And I'm like, yo, I'm down with that, except that you were completely fine with making a minstrel of my people. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, dog, let that slide. You know my antennas is up, so I can't let it slide. I can't make that slide for y'all. So people on Twitter, of course, they bomb on her. And people are like, oh, well, why don't you let it slide? It's been so long. Actually, people probably would have let it slide if she could point back to an apology where she was like, you know what? I used this stuff trying to be funny style, thinking it was cool, and it was whack, and I shouldn't have done it. You know what I'm saying? That's like 2 sentences, 3, whatever. 3 sentences. There'd still people be mad, but at least she'd be able to point to say, yo, I recognize that it was corny, it was whack, I should have never did it. And now I'm saying, yo, I was wrong for that. You know what I'm saying? We ain't never get nothing. She just slide up in this movie. like we gonna be like, oh, cool to see. Every time I see Awkwafina, I roll my eyes. So that means my eyes were straight hurt by the end of this film. I was like, why is she still here? And Ali Wong exists. You could have put Ali Wong in there because, trust me, Awkwafina is not that great an actress. I don't know what she's doing, who her uncle or daddy is. Maybe she got a really cool cousin. I don't know. Somebody is hooking her up because Awkwafina was not impressive in this role. Now, at the same time, you could say, hey, she was up against Tony Leung. He's another level. And also, you know, maybe she wasn't directed right or maybe she wasn't written right, whatever. But she was the comedy relief that didn't give me any relief because she wasn't comedic. Her moments weren't funny enough to really be funny because all of her comedy has always been based off mimicking the minstrelization of Black culture. So you got that. And when I saw she was on this, I was like, yo, man, look, I can't pay for this movie. I love y'all, but I can't pay to see this movie. I'm gonna have to see this on the leg, y'all. I can't do that. And I meant what I said. I did not pay to see this movie. I saw this movie for free at my house. You know what I'm saying? For free. It cost me a dime. All right? Because, look, I said it, I meant it. Look, she up in that joint. Look, you can't get mad at me for saying, yo, I don't want to, I'm going to boycott this movie and I ain't going to watch this movie. I ain't paying for this movie. Be like, oh, NERDSoul, you wrong. But the same people want to get rid of Drake's new album because he sampled one of R. Kelly's songs. Now, I know you're going to be like, oh, it's not one-to-one what R. Kelly did and what Awkwafina did. She attacked my people. She used my people as a minstrel. Enemy is enemy, bruh. So, now, Blurder said this movie runs smoother if he never took her off the bus scene. Never took her off the bus. Thank you. Her coming was just to have her be the plot point that shoots the arrow through the throat when that could have easily been Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh could have shot that arrow. One of the other ladies could have shot the arrow. A younger girl could have shot the arrow that we find out is the niece, is their second cousin or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, they kept her on so she could shoot the arrow. That joint was corny. All right, she's corny. It was corny. Awkwafina's whack. And until she come with an apology, which I doubt she's gonna do, I ain't got no words for the girl. And honestly, her apology would probably be like, I'm sorry for those I offended, which isn't a real apology. So yeah, just she done. Especially when we got, excuse me, who is the young lady that's the mom on Fresh Off the Boat? We got her, we got Ali Wong, we got oh dang. She was hot in the, well no, because she was hot in the 90s, so she's probably too old now. I can't remember her name. She was a little huskier. And she always wore glasses, but she's probably too old now because Shang-Chi is a young, upper 20-ish guy. I don't know what age he really is. So, so with that said, then there's this controversy around that I don't like seeing, unfortunately, from a lot of blur groups. Yo, this is the Black Panther. This is the Black Panther of the Asian community. This is the Asian Black Panther. I'm like, well, no. This is the Asian Shang-Chi. They can have their thing. Why they gotta have our stuff? Why can't this be the Asian Thor? Why can't this be the Asian whatever? Stop you look, you don't have to put it on no. Why let our culture and our culture of our motherland be ours? You know what I'm saying? Let our roots and our culture, our Black culture and our African roots culture be our culture. We don't have to like try to map that onto someone else. Let their own stuff be their own stuff. You know what I'm saying? Which takes me to the plea for blur groups. Please stop copping pleas for other groups just because they ain't white. You would never say that Iron Man is the I don't know, the white Black Panther or something like that. But the second there's a little brown in their skin, here you come, this is the Asian Black Panther. Now, they did sort of rip off Black Panther in the final scene where it's like humans and animals working together. It was kind of dumb how they set that up, and the CGI was not my favorite, but that's a whole other thing. This idea that we have to kind of map someone's culture onto ours to try to bring them in as an ally, when in general, that's not the same going the opposite way. Why? I don't get it. Man, I don't get you guys sometimes, man. That's why you be like, yo, man, NERDSoul, you ain't got no guests. You want to know why? Because some of these dudes is faulty out here. So you got that. You got Well, first you got the white dudes tripping because it's not racist enough. You got Aquafina out there. You know, people mad about that for good reason. Then you got blurred groups. I've seen larger outlets call this too. Larger outlets. I'm not gonna call no names, but larger outlets like THR, Variety, people at that level, comparing this to Black Panther. It's not the same. This is no diss to Asian people. This isn't the same. The reason this isn't the same is because Black people and Asian people, through media, through justice, through education, through social, have not been treated the same in this country. This is not a diss to Asian people. This is not to take anything from them. But when you have a group that is looking for a hero, or a hero that they can look at that seems or looks like them, one group, i.e. Black people, has been looking much longer and much harder for a hero that looks like them, especially tying back to the roots of Africa, that doesn't look like a whole bunch of flies crawling over kids, than Asian people in general in America. I'm not talking about Asian people in Taiwan or Japan or Korea or China, any of that. I'm talking about in American culture. Now, I know we have both seen strife. We have not both seen the same strife. So, in that case, that's why you cannot equate our heroes because the response to our heroes. Because a lot of people are going to be like, oh, this is going to make money like Black Panther. Well, one, there's the pandemic. That's one thing that's already working against it. Like, the pandemic has screwed up everything, all right? People out there talk about they don't need no mask, then they mess around, get COVID, then they die about it, just let it go. But first you got the pandemic. That's already going to cut into it. Then you have two cultures that are completely different in what they're looking for when it comes to the American dream. You have one culture who has largely decided to assimilate, be quiet, stay out the way, not really rock the boat, not really do nothing, be cool, because the hot seat systematically is not on them. Then you have another group who has had to fight to be able to walk on the sidewalk, who came over here as slaves, whose bodies are the basis and foundation of medicine in our current state in society. Between all of the barbaric and horrifying things that have been done to us, that history is all packed in that culture when saying, finally, there's someone that looks like me that's a hero. They're super smart, there's money behind it, it looks beautiful, and all that. Wow, finally. And then when reaching back in scenes looking to the motherland, or of course, Wakanda, fictional motherland. So when we looking back to that, we don't see nothing but destitute, desolate desperation. We see beauty and opulence and forward technological movement. Now, of course, Wakanda's a fake place. But when you're talking about people that are saying, finally, I have at least one thing that shows me as a hero, as a leader, as someone who is basically a moral authority and also seen as a moral authority. as opposed to a culture that in general has not shown, maybe on a sneak tip, but they haven't really seemed to care, because in general, because I know there's an older generation and contingent, a younger generation a little different. At least for the older generation contingent, because I was born in '82, most of this group over here was like, let's assimilate and get out of the way so we don't rock the boat. Let's do as much as we can to be like them so we don't get treated like them. That's why Black Panther, Shang-Chi, the reactions will not be the same. They're not. Now, that's a quick version. Y'all can go read history books, watch documentaries if you want. Do it on your own time. But the responses will not be the same. Now, can they both be great movies? Yes. Unfortunately, I think Marvel mailed it in on these last two movies, not just Shang-Chi. I feel like they mailed it in on this one too. But it's a situation where Marvel, I think, believes that they're able to take their foot off the gas a little bit, because they're like, hey, we won. We got this. Every time we put our logo up, people show up. And I'm like, look, don't sleep. You know what I'm saying? You turn in a couple C papers, you'll mess around and mess up that GPA. All right. Right now, your GPA is good. All right. You got 20-something movies. But this is 2 movies in a row where it's like, okay. I mean, if Black Widow is on, like if I go over someone's house and Black Widow is on, I'm not going to be like, change that movie now. But I'm not going to be like, oh, snap, Black Widow, turn it on. It's not going to happen. And that, I think Marvel is at the point now where at least 80 to 90% of their movies need to do that. And I don't think they did that. And especially when it comes to the third acts in these films. So then you got that. Then the last controversy is a cultural appropriation one, where at first I was like, oh, well, it's probably just one song. So, all right, there's a cultural appropriation about people that don't, let me see, what would be the, is ally? Maybe ally is the word. So, okay, there's this controversy going on where people are saying folks that aren't allies, or people that are fake allies, are quick to use our music or make our music and act like it's their own. And not only where they use our music, meaning music that is kind of quintessentially Black culture music that or Black people create. Those people use that music, and then after using that music, will pretend like Black people don't exist, or pretend like they just made it up, something of that nature. So I saw an argument about having Anderson .Paak on the ending track. And I was like, well, you know, Anderson .Paak is a popular guy, man. Anderson .Paak is a popular guy. The Anderson .Paak is a popular guy. So, like, what do you expect? It's Disney, man. They're gonna get a hot guy. But then I start to focus on the rest of the soundtrack. And even when it's not Anderson .Paak, it's essentially using Black music as the template to sell this movie. Now, I'm of 2 minds on this. One mind, I'm like, well, it's popular music, man. You gotta sell the movie. But then you have this other side that's like, yo, Marvel talked so much about paying homage to Asian culture and Asian cinema and the martial arts of Asian cultures. Why did that stop at the music? It seems weird that stops at the music. Now, at the same time, I'm not in the boardroom, so I don't know. But people have been working a long time on Twitter to make sure that this is heard. And I see where they're coming. And because yes, E equals MCU says Anderson .Paak is half Asian. I don't know, maybe, I don't know about his parents. But that's not particularly the issue. The issue is more of this music is quintessentially known to be a Black culture thing. And if you're saying that this is the movie of Asian culture, this is the movie that's paying homage or whatever, why are you not using the music that is indicative of that culture? I'm sure there's tons of Asian artists that are making sort of, I guess you would say, like, updated takes on traditional music. That's dope. Give them some shine. But from what I'm seeing, it seems like they're like, yo, look, we gonna stop those homages at the music, and we gonna use y'all, which is cool. All of this is cool. It's just that it seems disingenuous coming from a marketing standpoint, dealing with a movie that Marvel says is so important because of these reasons, because of representation. Which brings me to the last thing that makes me feel funny style about this movie. Now, in general, I don't care. I don't know nobody that made this movie. I don't know none of these actors. But it is tough to go out and represent in full force and wave the flag and be the ally for this Asian cinema resurgence movie that's so powerful and so great for Asians, and you know what I'm saying, hold it down and give it to the Asian cinema and give them some love, and they haven't been represented. And I'm like, yo, that's great. But just this year, in February/Marches, there was a good 30 to 60 days where outlets like ABC News, evidenced by ABC News, that somehow Black people were running around committing acts of violence to Asian folks. Like, we was running around beating up Asian people, taking them down, spitting on them or something, and kicking them and hitting them over the side of the head and everything. And they use this idea that Black people are just beating up Asians, just all over the place. Now, if you don't remember, because some people got short memories, back in February, March, there was a ABC News story where they had an Asian couple, then they had a couple of Asian, not athletes, celebrities, and then I think one Asian senator. And basically the whole gist was, because of one incident of a Black kid, there was a Black teen that was already evidenced to be mentally disturbed, hit an Asian guy, and that Asian guy died. I think he ran up behind him and hit him with like a pipe or something like that. And the old Asian guy died from this. So from that one instance, they said, let's do this ABC story saying that Black people are being violent against Asians. And even in the story, the guy, the husband of the couple, he was like, Black people, please tell your friends to, be nice to us, and tell your family to, not be violent or whatever. You can find it. I'm not going to do your work for you, but ABC News did a spotlight on this. It's about 11 minutes or whatever. They did a spotlight on this. And when it came out, I was like, this ain't happening, is it? Is this happening? So I go online, and it seems like all of a sudden, because this was like the precipice, and then Stop Asian Hate thing. Like, this is what kind of kicked it off. And I was like, yo, this isn't happening. So then you go online, and it seems to be this weird thing, Black people just beating up Asians. I'm like, no, I don't see it happen. So I'm like, cool, let's research all of these instances. And when we research them, in all of the last, I think, 5 years, ABC News referenced 2 instances where a Black person did something to an Asian person. Whether it was an argument or whatever, they had in their own story. This is ABC got their money to do all the research they need to do. They had 2 instances, but they kicked it off like there was this kind of like cavalcade of evidence coming in of just black people beating up Asians. So when it gets taken away in the zeitgeist, because IRL goes to social, social goes back to IRL. Now all of a sudden we have a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of blue check Asian Twitter saying, black people, you gotta stop hurting us. And we're like, when? What are we doing? And then of course, people start sharing videos of like, no, here's black people getting beat up in your store. Here's black people getting beat up in your store again. Here's black people getting beat up in your store again. And it kept going. The only thing that really made it stop online was, unfortunately, when that dude killed the people. Was he in Georgia? Where was he? Was he in? I think it was in Georgia, and he wanted to go to Florida. He killed some women in a nail salon or something like that. Oh no, it was a massage parlor. He killed some women in a nail salon. It was a massage parlor. Then he was going to go to Florida and kill some more Asian people. It's a white guy. This didn't follow the narrative that everybody's getting hit with. So that's the only thing that really stopped that narrative. But during that narrative, tons of Asian people was just like, young and old on blue check Asian Twitter was all like, yo, y'all doing this to us. Y'all need to apologize. And we were like, yo, we ain't doing it to y'all though. This isn't happening. What are you talking about? Because I don't know. They needed a story. I don't know. But the only thing that really stopped this is essentially a massacre spurned on by a white guy. Unfortunately. And I don't want nobody to be losing their lives, especially not like that. But that's the only thing that seemed to stop that whole narrative of like black people are beating up Asians or attacking Asians and stuff. So with a memory of that and a memory of how that went down, it's kind of tough for me to be like, yeah, woo, let's go represent the Asian culture. Because I'm like, the Asian culture was way too ready to throw us under the bus without any real evidence. ABC News took like one instance, one or two. I think they had a second instance in there. They took 2 instances to mean like all 43 or 44 million black people was just beating up Asians. And I'm like, yo, you know what? Even take half. 22 million black people just beating up Asians. And I'm like, I don't think that's happening. But it's hard for me to then go and be all rah-rah for y'all. It is. For me, it's hard for me to do that. I know y'all gonna be like, dog, that's old. No, it wasn't old. It happened this year. It happened just back in February. It just happened. You know what I'm saying? So this ain't like me pulling something from like 10 years ago. This is me pulling like, yo, they just did this. Now, this is not to say that we're not Asians that said like, yo, man, this isn't a thing, because there definitely were. But when you look at the percentage of the Asians that were like, yo, man, this isn't happening, as opposed to they're like, yeah, we want an apology from y'all. And we were like, yo, we didn't do anything. So, which I was really thinking, I really think this was all media's way to try to hurry up and get past the whole attack on the Capitol. But anyway, the point is, it's hard for me to get rah-rah for y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for me to be an ally for y'all when the second something come out, y'all ready to look at us all funny style. So that's all of the controversy wrapped up in. That's all the controversy. There might be some, oh yeah, I forgot. There was either Kevin Feige or one of the CEOs said that this was an experiment, and when he said it, I believe that he was referring to releasing a movie in the pandemic, but it was taken as this Asian movie is an experiment, and that kind of came a kerfuffle. But I think that was just him not clarifying what he said at the moment, because I think what he meant is like, yo, right now it's an experiment. Like it's the pandemic. We got the Delta variant. People still dying over this mess. We don't know what's going to happen in the theater. Not like, oh, we don't know if Asians can make a movie, or be successful in a movie, because we already know they can. So that's not really up for debate. But yeah, that's all the controversy and how I feel about it. So with that said, I'm gonna get into some comments before we get up out of here. Tay 1990 talking about the ABC News thing. I think he said, "Sigh, wow, I'm glad I did not see it." Blurted said they blaming us when they partners asking for super racist Fu Manchu. Yeah, look, it's like y'all mad at us while your boy talking about, yo, I want Fu Manchu up in this movie. Oh man. Andre Atkins said all those false reports about black people attacking Asians made me sick. Yes, and there was ABC did something, and then someone else did a follow-up or because there was somebody like MSNBC or somebody, I can't remember, but they broke down what was going on, like how many people were getting killed, how many people were getting beat up, how many people getting whatever. And it was it 67%? 67% were like verbal assaults. And I was like, bruh, I don't want nobody to get verbal assaulted. But right now we trying to get the police to stop killing us. And you talking about somebody called you a name. Like I'm just saying, there's this, I can't worry about that right now. I'm glad that your biggest worry is someone calling your name. Cool, you're living your life. But for me, I have to make sure that the police can't kill me, and then all of society says, it's okay. So that's what I'm fighting for. I'm sorry, I can't worry about your verbal assaults right now. I mean, unless it comes from the Wu-Tang Clan, then of course it's a verbal assault. You know what I'm saying? All you need is that double Wu-Tang CD. That's all you need this year. You don't even need to put your kids in school. So with that said, Tay 1990 said the movie just did not seem interesting to me to go watch because it's a C grade movie. Plus Aquafina was in it, and I'm not feeling her at all. Yeah, she whack. E equals MCU said, yeah, it was an ATL. All right, so yeah, that's where he attacked the young ladies in the massage parlor. So E equals MCU said, Chapek said it. Yep, and Simu Liu responded hard. Oh, the star responded? I didn't know it was the star. I thought it was somebody just tied to the film, not the star. So the star responded? Yo, he jumped out the window on that joint. He jumped out the star of the movie jumped out the window? Wow, you soft, bruh. Like, you could have hit him on the phone and be like, yo, man, look, this is how it's reported. What you talking about? And then he could have been like, yo, man, what I was saying is we out here in the pandemic. We all trying to figure out how this movie thing works. He was like, all right, homie, just like, soft, man. Anyway, so Blurdish gets the last word saying, sadly, the weird self-haters in the whack blurred groups are going to keep this going, saying this average flick is better than BP. Watch how random attention seekers keep caping. Yeah, this movie should be just as good as BP, just as good as Winter Soldier, just as good as Infinity War, because those movies have been the building blocks to this, right? But it seems like Marvel just took a day off. It looked like they literally just clocked in. Like they just came and got their money and left. Black Widow, check. All right, cool. Yeah, made a movie. All right, fight scene, chase scene. All right, fight scene. All right, somebody jumps off of something. Explosion. Cool movie. Go on and put it out. Oh. Shang-Chi, no problem. All right, chase scene, fight scene. All right, go see your daddy. All right, and then see your mama dead, and then fight scene, explosion, some dragons. The end. And they didn't really put in the oomph that they needed to put in. And they ripped off Star Wars. And they paid homages that paled in comparison to the places they were paying to. So yeah, it's a middle of the road film, 2.5 stars or 5 out of 10. It's okay. It's not whack. It's not great. It's just there. Yeah, kind of like Thor 2. It's just there. So guys, holler at me. I'm gonna holler at you down in the comments. Let's talk about this movie if you still want to talk about it. Or if you're like, look, I hate this guy. I don't want to be where I don't want him now. But I told you, I said we're going to review the movie first, and then you needed to leave if you ain't want to talk about controversy. So if you stayed, that's your fault. All right? It's your fault. So with that said, I'm going to leave y'all with P.L. Parker Lewis and Arcatron. Big shout out to Blurdish. Yes, and our hot sign. Shouts out to Blurdish, equals MC Squared, Eon001, Andre Atkins, Jenna James, Tay-Tay 1990. Big shout out to Star Drew that came in early in the chat. Big shout out to Thomas D in the house, man. Like, look, perk-minded, yo, man. Yes, Pac Sampson. Check that out. Shouts to him. And shout out to Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? And Killmonger. Shouts out to him too. You know what I'm saying? So big shout out to and Janine. Thank you, Janine, for rolling through. Much love to you. So, of course, until next time, NERDSoul, hit that thumbs up. You can hit that thumbs down, but if you hit that thumbs down, all right, I'm going to send Tony Lung after you. All right? I'm going to send that Win Wu after you. All right? You don't want that. All right? You're going to get chopped up in the restaurant. All right, go on and subscribe. Share this to your mama, your daddy, your grandmama. Especially your grandma. Your grandma ain't doing nothing. She ain't doing nothing but sitting on the couch. Go on and subscribe. Tell your grandma to subscribe. Then she can actually watch it. She be like, oh, snap. Then when you come over for Thanksgiving, like, all right, say your grandmama subscribe right now, right? When you come for Thanksgiving, then she gonna know the knowledge. She be like, oh, so you been watching that What If? And she be like, oh, I know what's going on in the streets. Why? Because she been watching this, all right? She been getting the downloads. All right, so podcast for listening. We're going to be talking about Evil tomorrow. We might play Guilty Gear tonight, but I'm not sure. We will play Guilty Gear tomorrow in some way, shape, or form. And
Street Fighter.
Street Fighter? I don't want to play Street Fighter no more. Guilty Gear is better. You want to play? You want to play Street Fighter? Anyway, guys, from me to you, much love and peace. Give him the woo. Give him the woo. Show him the woo. Show him the woo. Show him the woo. This right here. This show what's up. Give him the pose now. Whoo, that boy's too much. See y'all later. Peace.
I'm the man, yes sir, that killed a bear barehanded so the people won't forget it. Getting money for I would label the drink. I care what a broke nigga think.
Just like the pack of Lewis.
Look, everything I do so cold. I can do this, both eyes closed. Too short, I stay on my toes. About that guap boy, anything goes. Help the bear if we outside. Help the bear if we outside. Still tipping, baby, nothing changed. I'm still grinding over here, yeah. Still sliding through my own lane. Shorty, nothing funny over here. Dollars rain everywhere around me. Dream to get money. Made it through the storm, living sunny. Dreams came true, now we eating. I got more dreams to chase, gotta reach them. Trying to put a team together like the Hunger Games. Everybody